They laughed at my coffee cart, called it a hobby, mocked me for dreaming too small. I didn't argue, I didn't fight back, I just worked in silence. Until the day I bought the building they mocked me from. Now, every month, they sign checks to stay inside walls I own. They measured my beginning. They never saw my finish. It wasn't much, just a cart, rusty wheels, second-hand coffee machine, a small handwritten sign that said, "Fresh starts, fresh coffee." My friends said it wasn't a real business. My family said it was temporary, a phase. And across the street, Bright Edge Solutions, sleek glass building, designer suits, executive badges swinging like medals. They didn't say anything at first, just looked, smirked, took pictures when they thought I wasn't paying attention. The first real comment came on a rainy Thursday. One of their junior execs leaned out of the door with his coffee from a chain shop, raised it in the air and shouted, "Maybe one day you'll sell real coffee, little guy." His friends laughed. I smiled, wiped down the counter, and served the next customer. But it didn't stop there. Every morning, new jokes. "Hey buddy, you hiring? I need a real downgrade." "Man, that must be tough. You get PTO for the sidewalk?" "If you ever expand, maybe you can get a real roof." They laughed like it cost them nothing, and maybe it didn't. But it cost me something, not pride, fuel. I worked 12 hours a day, in sun, in rain, in heat that melted the ink off my signs. I memorized names, remembered orders, built relationships, not with suits, but with students, delivery drivers, nurses getting off late shifts, construction crews on lunch break. I didn't have marketing dollars. I had memory. I had presence. I had patience. Every time someone from Bright Edge mocked me, I smiled tighter, held it longer, because I knew something they didn't. The world doesn't reward the loud. It rewards the persistent. They built careers laughing in meetings. I built loyalty pouring into cups. 6 months in, I saved enough to rent a tiny brick-and-mortar shop 2 blocks down. Not fancy, not flashy, but mine. I called it Fresh Starts Cafe. No neon signs, no fancy chairs, just the same coffee, the same patience, the same silence. At night, I passed the Bright Edge building on my way home. Lit up windows, late-night workers pretending they were saving the world, while mocking the guy selling dreams for $2.50 a cup. Sometimes I imagine walking in there someday, holding my own office key, owning a company they couldn't ignore. But dreams like that, you don't chase them with anger, you chase them with quiet work. While they laughed louder, I built quieter. Because the thing about skyscrapers, they're beautiful when you're looking up at them. But once you know how they were built, you realize how fragile they really are. And I wasn't done yet. Not even close. The shop wasn't big. 3 tables, 1 counter, a borrowed espresso machine I repaired with YouTube videos. No polished launch party, no fancy ribbon cutting. Just me and a neon open sign that buzzed louder than it should have. But customers came. Not because it was flashy, because it was real. Because when they walked through that scratched glass door, they weren't treated like transactions. They were treated like people, students studying for exams, paramedics grabbing double shots before night shifts, small business owners needing a second home. They found me, and they stayed. Word spread the old-fashioned way, person to person, cup to cup. No influencer campaigns, no corporate partnerships, just presence. Meanwhile, across the street, Bright Edge got louder. A new billboard, a brand refresh, an announcement about vertical integration and scaling culture. I served coffee and watched quietly. 6 months turned into a year. I opened a second shop, 3 blocks away. Fresh Starts, Cafe. 2, no fancy upgrades, same counter, same heart, same silence. People joked that I was moving too slow, but I knew something they didn't. You don't expand to look big. You expand when your roots are deep enough not to get ripped out. By year 2, I had 4 locations, a supply chain built on handshake deals and late-night favors, a loyal staff that stayed because they wanted to, not because they had to, and revenue, solid, not viral, not explosive, just steady, real. Meanwhile, Bright Edge made headlines, layoffs, a scandal about mishandled client funds, a reshuffle at the top. From my tiny window at Fresh Starts, I watched them, still laughing, still pretending they were untouchable. They never looked across the street long enough to notice what was happening. They never realized the world around them was shifting. Because that's the thing about arrogance. It makes you blind to earthquakes rumbling right under your feet. One day, my real estate agent called, said there was an opportunity, an old office building, struggling owners, quick sale. I smiled when I heard the address. I didn't celebrate. I didn't brag. I just said, make the offer, because I already knew. The building they used to look down from was about to have a new landlord. The paperwork was thick, pages of old debts, tax records, maintenance issues. The building wasn't perfect, but it was mine now. All of it. When the final signature hit the page, the agent shook my hand and said, congratulations, you're officially the owner of 1419 Grand Avenue. I didn't throw a party, didn't pop champagne. I bought a small black notebook, wrote the address inside, and tucked it in my jacket. The next day, I stood across the street, same spot, same cracked sidewalk where I once pushed a rusty coffee cart, watched as employees in suits buzzed in and out of the building, still laughing, still loud, still blind. They didn't know. Not yet. I met with the property management team. New policies, new maintenance schedules, updated leasing contracts. No drastic changes, just enough reminders that there was a new owner behind the scenes. Some noticed the subtle updates. New security company, faster elevator repairs, fresh paint over the chipped corners they used to ignore. But they still didn't connect the dots, because when you spend years looking down on someone, you forget to look around. A month later, Bright Edge signed their lease renewal. 12 months, higher rent, tighter terms. They didn't argue. They were too distracted managing internal chaos. When the new agreement was finalized, I walked into the lobby for the first time as owner. No security badge, no appointment, just calm. Presence. A junior manager at the front desk looked up at me, frowned slightly, like I was familiar but didn't belong. He asked, "Can I help you, sir?" I smiled. Number I already own everything I need here. He didn't understand. Not fully. Not yet. Because the best revenge isn't gloating. It's becoming essential to the people who once acted like you didn't exist. They built that building thinking it would always be theirs, their place to shine, their castle. But castles fall, kingdoms change hands, and sometimes the coffee guy buys the whole damn thing. It wasn't long before they found out. Not from an announcement, not from a billboard, but from a letter slipped under their doors. Effective immediately, building management now falls under Fresh Starts Holdings. Some shrugged it off, some raised eyebrows. A few tried Googling it, but Fresh Starts Holdings wasn't flashy enough to have a press release. Just a clean site, a simple line. We build spaces where real work happens. A few of the old employees, the ones who used to order coffee just to cancel it, the ones who joked loudest, recognized the name. Fresh Starts, the cart, the tiny cafe across the street, the guy they laughed at. One afternoon, I was inspecting the upper floors. New carpet installation, upgraded conference rooms, when I ran into a group of Bright Edge executives waiting for the elevator. They froze. The jokes dried up. The smirks slipped away. One of them, the loudest one from back then, stepped forward awkwardly, forced a tight smile. "Hey, you're the coffee guy, right?" I looked at him, steady. "Not anymore." The elevator dinged open behind me. I stepped inside, held the door open. "You coming?" He hesitated, shook his head, mumbled something about taking the next one. As the doors closed, I watched him standing there, small, awkward, confused. I didn't laugh, didn't smirk, didn't gloat, because real revenge doesn't need an audience. They didn't need to know every detail of how I bought the building they mocked me from. They didn't need to hear the full story, because every month when they paid rent, every maintenance request they filed, every lease renewal they signed, they remembered. They felt it, quietly. The man they laughed at now owned their future 1 month at a time. They never apologized, not one of them. Not the intern who used to laugh out the window. Not the manager who once called my cart a waste of sidewalk. Not the ones who placed fake orders or took photos like I was a joke, and I didn't expect them to. Because when people like that realize what you've become, they don't apologize, they adjust. The lobby looks different now. The chairs are new. The smell of burnt vending machine coffee is gone, replaced by a subtle roast I supply myself. Fresh Start's signature blend. Funny how things come full circle. Every day I walk the halls, no suit, no tie, no badge, just presence. And people nod, not because I'm famous, but because they finally understand. They thought I was small, because I didn't have a team, didn't have capital, didn't have a logo or a LinkedIn job title that made them feel threatened. But now they work in a building I redesigned, sign contracts printed on my paper, drink coffee brewed with my beans, and me, I don't have to say a word, because every corner of the place speaks for me. I didn't buy the building for revenge. I bought it because they showed me exactly where to build. They showed me what arrogance looks like when it's unchallenged, and what silence looks like when it's underestimated. I never wanted to outshine them. I just wanted to outlast them. And now, while they spend their days racing toward deadlines, I sit in the corner office they didn't know was mine, building the next thing they'll never see coming. Because power, real power, doesn't walk into a room and ask to be seen. It owns the floor they're standing on. I used to think winning meant making them regret it. That revenge would taste like watching them fall, watching them apologize, beg for second chances they never gave me. But now, I know better. Revenge isn't their collapse. It's your construction. They didn't make me strong when they mocked me. They revealed what strength I already had. Every joke they threw at me, every sideways glance, every fake coffee order and backhanded compliment, it didn't break me. It built the scaffolding around the dream I didn't even know how big it could become. They gave me the gift of low expectations, and in the space they left empty, I built a future too big for them to see. I didn't need to outshine them. I didn't need to outperform them. I didn't need to outspeak them. I just needed to outlast them, and I did. Today, their rent funds new fresh starts locations across the city. Their meetings take place under ceilings I repaired. Their ideas bounce off walls I repainted. Their ambitions build my empire every single month. And the best part, they still don't understand how it happened, because when you move quietly enough, when you build steadily enough, your success looks like it was always meant to be there. They laughed at my start, but they don't laugh anymore, because somewhere deep down, even if they never say it out loud, they know the man they tried to bury was already planting roots.